Welcome to another edition of Believe in Giants. Bob Papa, along with the two-time Super Bowl champion and my co-host, as always, Carl Banks. Giants taking on the Cowboys on Sunday. But, Carl, first you got to share with our audience some exciting news for you.
Proud grandfather, man. Czar Damani Banks, born Wednesday at 8:18 p.m. My son, Courtney, and Bianca, his lovely girl, are doing great, and the baby's doing great as well.
Do you feel any different?
No, I not sure I'm going to be called grandpa yet, though. I think it's going to be something, papa or something. Who knows? We'll see.
Something catchy, but that doesn't say grandpa. You don't look like a grandpa, though.
Grandpa.
You don't feel like a grandpa.
No, I don't.
You don't. All right, so here we go. Giants and Cowboys on Sunday. So ruled out of the game. The left guard, but that we knew that was going to be the case. And Skura did a good job last week. I saw Sterling Shepard out there trying to do some things, but he's ruled out. Slayton's ruled out. You can't take chances with these hamstrings. You gotta be very careful with that. And Jabril Peppers not playing in this football game. How much does it hurt the Giants to not have Peppers in the lineup this week, or can they work around it?
Well, I think they can work around it. And the one thing that they'll miss from Peppers is his in-the-box play. The one thing that they get is a little more versatility in their pass coverage when you can now activate Xavier McKinney, Julian Love. Now, where they need their help, though, all honesty, they got to be able to stop the run, Bob. That's where Peppers is a real asset to them, but they have to figure it out. I don't know if Carter Coughlin's going to factor in back on the inside of their defense instead of on the edge. So there's I'm sure that they've made the adjustments and they've practiced what they're going to practice, but I think they'll have a great deal of flexibility when it comes to their pass coverage. But the key to this game, for me, will be the defense stopping the run. Dallas is top 2 in the league on first down? I think it's 1 or 2 on first down. And if they looked at the Giants versus the Saints, last Sunday, I mean, they were hitting at like 7 or 8 yards a pop on first down. That ain't going to cut it with the Dallas Cowboys. They'll run for 200-plus yards on you.
Yeah, because the difference between last week and this week is that on the outside, the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb, they have Amari Cooper, and they have tight ends that they incorporate in the passing game. Let's face it, the Saints, even though they took some shots down the field at times, they play a very managed game with Jameis Winston at quarterback.
And without Thomas.
Right, without Michael Thomas. And Dak Prescott, it's hard to believe that, he was injured exactly 1 year ago from this Sunday. And he's come back, and it's like he never missed a beat.
Well, I can tell you this now, Dallas fans are probably going to take this and it is somewhat of a snarky remark, but it's also a compliment. The Cowboys as a team are the biggest bunch of front runners in all of sports. You can have Laker fans. You got the biggest set of front runners in all of sports are the Cowboys fans, because when they're good, their fans are arrogant and hooting and hollering. Their players are arrogant, hooting and hollering, and anything associated with the Cowboys. And listen, they earn the right to do that, but you can't play football during these times on the Dallas Cowboys terms. You just cannot play on their terms. Right now, it's a disaster waiting to happen. If you think you're going to go compete with them the way they're playing football right now, it's turnover city, it's slap happy city, it's, run the ball, do whatever we want because we're the Dallas Cowboys and we can control everything. What you got to do is go in and make this a fist fight. You got to make this an alley brawl, you got to let them know we're not playing on your terms. We're going to disrupt you as much as we can. Your quarterback's going to be on the ground, or he's got to know people are around him all the time. But again, you ain't doing that if you can't stop them on first down. If they're running the ball at 8 yards a clip on first down, then you can expect to see a bunch of high fives and hooting and hollering and laughing in your face type of stuff. And then your offense, the Giant offense, though very capable of going toe to toe, all things equal, will not have the advantage of a balanced play sheet, because once you fall behind, you got to play catch up. And when you play catch up, you're exposing an offensive line that has done well, but we know if they're put in situations where, your quarterback's got to throw it 40, 50 times because he has to, not because they're in rhythm and things are clicking, and you go down 2 scores, it's just going to be, it's Katie bar the door. I mean, it's just going to be a party in that big arena in JerryWorld.
Yeah, to me, my biggest concern in this game right now is the health of Andrew Thomas. He suffered a foot injury. He was out there, at practice today, limping, kind of going out there. He's listed as questionable. If you got to move Solder to the left tackle spot and Parrott has to play the full game at right tackle, man, that's not how you want to go into this game, because Thomas is, after that last preseason game where he got schooled and everybody was throwing all kinds of shade his way. And again, it was a preseason game, by the way. I mean, he's been really good for the most part in the regular season. They can't afford to not have him.
Well, you got to play the cards you dealt. You hope that he can go. Matt Pert was, here's the thing that it kind of shocks me that people are having the reaction to Matt Pert that they are. Remember, he was drafted where he was as a project. He kind of exceeded expectations early and gave people hope that, he's on his way now. He's going to enter the second year as a starter. He was a work in progress. Yep. He's a small college kid who overachieved his first year, and that's not a bad thing. But the rest of him didn't catch up, and the rest of the NFL did, and now he's got work to do. But people were, I'm not sure where the false hope came from when it was related to Pert. Pert was always depth and development. And now depth is there, and hopefully he's developed enough to play tomorrow if he has to, on Sunday if he has to.
Here's a couple interesting stats for you. The Cowboys are second in the NFL. They have 10 takeaways. Trevon Diggs, 5 interceptions, leads the NFL, returned 1 for a touchdown. And they have 2 or more takeaways in their last 8 games going back to last season. So, the Giants have to play this game like they did against the Saints, in the sense that turnover free. I don't count the Hail Mary at the end of the first half as Daniel Jones' lone interception of the season. What they can't do is they can't give that potent Cowboys offense extra possessions and possibly even a short field. I think if they play this game clean, I think they got a lot of confidence off what they did. And listen, the Cowboys defense is improved with Dan Quinn there as the new defensive coordinator. But let's not confuse them with the 85 Bears either. I mean, they've given up 7 pass plays already of 30 or more yards for one for a touchdown. Last year, the Giants only had 3 pass plays of over 30 yards that went for touchdowns. They had 14 all season, 3 went for touchdowns. Do you know that already this year, through the first 4 weeks, the Giants have 6 pass plays of 30 or more yards, and already 4 have gone for touchdowns?
That's pretty nice. So the Dallas Cowboys, right? Listen, there can be a false sense of security too when you're front runners, right? that you think you're better than you are in some areas when you still got work to do. Now, I can't shade the Cowboys because their record says who they are and their turnovers say who they are and their performance, right? The thing that I will continue to say, you say the Giants should play a clean game. I think they should play a dirty game in terms of not cheap shots, but make it as physical, make it as grind out, slugfest as you can.
Like they did in the last 7 minutes in New Orleans before,
correct,
while they were sleepwalking the rest of the game defensively.
Correct. You want to make this bare knuckles. Let's see what you got, because I think defensively, as well as they're playing, some of those Leopards ain't changed their spots. I ain't saying no names, but I can look at film and they can hoot and holler with the guys who's making plays, but there are not a lot. There are a few out there that look the same as they did last year. They're just playing faster, looking bad, And listen, they just got rid of Jalen Smith. He wasn't playing well. He would have been one of those guys I was talking about if he was still there. And by the way, I'm a fan of his, and I hope he gets back on track. But he wasn't good last year, and this year, point of contact, not very good. So say that to say you cannot play on the Dallas Cowboys. You got to make it a dirty, grind out, knuckle up, guard your grill type of game. Just punch them, and I'm talking metaphorically now. But you've got to be able to do things that they don't like to happen to them, and when you do that, you change the complexion of how they play defense. They can't play as fast. They can't run around and hoop and holler on defense. On offense, you've got to play on their side of the line of scrimmage so that Zeke and Pollard are not running downhill. And you got to create a negative or zero gain on the first two downs, because if you don't, you're on their terms and the front runners run well in the front.
Carl, one of the things, and it's going to be a storyline this year when the two teams play, Micah Parsons, who the Giants could have drafted when the draft didn't fall the way they were kind of hoping it was going to fall. The Giants chose to move back and make the deal with the Bears. They got Kadarius Toney, and they have the Bears' first-round draft pick next year. So I don't want to hear this, as well as he's played to start, I don't want to hear, the Giants could have had him, because we don't know how this is all going to shake out. Toney could become a star in his own right, and we still don't know what that draft pick in the future holds for the Giants.
Right.
So let's just look at it. I want to just look at this from a football standpoint. As a guy that played the position as an outside backer and played defense at a high level, what do you make of Parsons' game to this point?
Prior to them putting him on the line of scrimmage, he had Derek Brooks type of instincts, Patrick Willis type of quickness. Was, and he still is, on his way to being one of the top linebackers if he chooses to stay there. On the edge, I see a guy with a lot of potential. Got a lot of energy, still working on his moves. He's not a pass rusher as we see him now. There's not a lot to what he does other than he outworks you, and he's fast and he's quick, right? Will be an excellent pass rusher. If he's going to impact the game, I think he's going to ultimately impact the game. He can do both, but you can't take him out. And they have a lot of inside linebackers now, but if you put him in the box, he's a nightmare. I mean, he's Derek Brooks, Patrick Willis type. On the edge, I don't know. I know while they're front running, he's making a lot of noise. Don't know how he fares in a street fight. but we'll find out. Like right now, they can pick and choose where to put him. They put him on the weak link, and he, every game he finds a weak link and they put him. He does well. He blitzes well. Also, he's a complete player, Bob, but the most complete part of him right now is in the box. The part that's scary is that on the edge, you can see him getting better every week.
All right. So Troy Aikman is a friend of mine and yours. We both have a lot of respect for Troy. I think Giant fans over the years, you hear what you want to hear. Okay. And when I was doing Thursday Night Football for NFL Network, I felt this. I saw this. It came my way too. I remember when I was doing the Jets Patriots Thursday Night Football game. I heard it from Patriots fans. Oh, you're a Giant guy. You're pulling against us. And I heard it from Jets fans. You're a Giants guy. You hope we lose the game. I was just calling the game. I mean, Collinsworth and I just wanted to have a good broadcast. Game came down to a last-second field goal. I think Jay Feely kicked the field goal and won the game or whatever, however it played out. And you and I have talked to Troy a lot. How surprised were you that earlier this week, yesterday, I think it was Thursday, in an interview somewhere, he said that he didn't think the Giants were in the Cowboys class, to paraphrase. Very unlike Troy, especially because he's got to do the game this week.
Well, yes and no, Bob. I mean, you're talking about a team right now, as they stand, are in the conversation as one of the top 4 football teams in football, right? And you talk about a team that just won its first game in overtime. So when you look at it from that lens, yeah, he could say it. He could say they're not in their class. He didn't say the Giants didn't have good players. They weren't a very good team. He just said they're not in their class. And when you're talking about the conversation of elite football teams, I don't think anybody brings up the Giants. They talk about who they think the top 4 teams are, right?
And
so there's a
reason.
class. There's a class to that. You see, I'm not defending Troy, but to the Giants fans, if you've heard everything I've said up until this point, then you know they play the game on Sunday and they get a chance to show where they are. That's all I can say about it. But when you talk about, the class of the NFL and, in terms of who the best teams are, the Giants aren't in that conversation. Doesn't mean that they can't be, but right now they're not. They won 1 game in overtime. Dallas is rolling. They got everybody's attention. They are the front runners. Take them to a different place, make it a street fight, and then see what it is. Styles make fights.
Do the Giants at this point in time, as you look at them, do the Giants have it in them or the personnel to really make it a brawl?
They do. They do, especially with a team like Dallas, because Dallas is having its way, and they're doing it on their terms. Do the Giants have the personnel to change the terms of that? Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. On both sides of the ball, by the way.
Well, Saquon's feeling more confident and more stabilized in what he's doing, so that gives them that whole thing right out of the gate. That he makes them more physical of a football team on the offensive side of the ball, even though people don't think of him that way. He's a leader. You last week on the show, you talked about leading into the Saints game, the alpha male with the, and look, there's guys like Logan Ryan and there's guys like Jabril Peppers, and they got guys on the team.
They have leadership. They got plenty of leadership. I would never question that. I talk about that alpha attitude,
which Saquon showed.
The alpha personality. You're absolutely right. He showed it. He put the team on his back.
And the quarterback did too. And he did it in a different way. That guy's tough as crap.
Right. So in a game like this, look for some unusual suspects to emerge in that category. Look for a guy like Will Hernandez, who likes a good fight anyway, right? If they can get the Cowboys on their terms, pay attention to Will Hernandez.
So that leads me to another question.
Kenny Galladay.
Well, Galladay showed it last week too.
Yeah. So you can hoot and holler and, play trap defenses and all of that. But if you gotta cover Kenny Galladay and he puts some body on you, what's it gonna be? Can you do that all day? Can you cover that all day? Because there's a few other receivers on the field now too. So again, they play on Sunday.
I want to go back to the run defense, Carl, because you look at this stuff and, we both look at the coach's tape, but you know what you're looking at compared to me. What has been, in your opinion, the biggest problem with their ability to stop the run consistently? Is it guys not executing responsibilities, playing the proper technique? What's been the problem? It's
finishing. Their problem is finishing. First, if you have defense,
tackles are ridiculous.
Right. If you have defense called and your defenders are in the right place and first contact comes within a -1 to the line of scrimmage, and that play continues for another 7 yards, then number one, first contact did not make enough impact, didn't wrap up, and two, guys are not rallying to the football. So it's two things. Your first contact got to get a guy down or slow him up enough where these other guys can get off blocks, which the Giants did when they needed to in the New Orleans game. But that's like one series in a row. If you're going to do this week, you better be prepared to do it from the opening defensive series to the last defensive series, because Dallas constantly puts pressure on you. And you got to figure out if you're Dex and Leo and RJ, it's about disrupting those guys. It's about, pushing guys back into the backfield, blurring those downhill running lanes. If they do that, and they got to do it, be committed to it for as long as the game is going, they're gonna have some fun on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic just based on, winning breeds confidence, and they finally, all the stuff that they've been talking about finally got reinforced. Now, it's not like baseball, and even in baseball, momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Baseball, football, you're playing 7 days apart, so there's no real momentum, but there is that. They did show themselves that they can finish when they had to finish last week. Now you got to hope that it kind of carries over into what's going to be a hostile environment. But
nothing was more hostile than New Orleans. But the thing is,
you know what Joe Judge told me today, though? He thinks it's going to be louder in Dallas.
It probably will be. It probably will be. But here's the thing. Confidence is one thing, execution and confidence that you can execute are the things that this team has to really focus on. I believe that when you say you're cautiously optimistic, I'm not going to be there in that mindset. I'm just telling you what needs to happen in order for them to win the game. Do I think they can do it? Do I think they have the personnel to do it? Absolutely. In the matchups that they have to their advantage are good, but they have to execute. Simple. Other than that, as far as what Troy said, the Cowboys are in a different class. Well, they're in the conversation with the top 4 teams in the league, and the Giants are in the also-rans conversation.
That you got the Rams. What do you got? The Rams, the Cardinals in the NFC.
Yeah, Rams, Cardinals, Tampa.
Yeah, and Dallas right now to this point, right? I mean, they played Tampa tough in week 1, even though they lost.
Exactly. So there's no reason for them to think that they shouldn't be in that class of the NFC conversation.
All right, just in wrapping this up, Carl. we're both foodies. We both like to cook. We both like to enjoy good food. Maybe we should give our audience just a brief little voyeuristic feel for things. Did you have a chance to go to the High Lawn the other night?
I did.
Okay, so our buddy Chef Sam Hazen, who is a crazy Giants fan, he's on the road all the time, travels everywhere. When Tao in New York City burst on the scene,
Tavern on the Green, Tao, STK, yeah.
Veritas, which was as good as it gets. So he's got this new thing going now called the High Lawn, which is in New Jersey. It's a famous spot, but he's done a complete remake. Can you share with our audience a little bit about the High Lawn and what Sam's done?
My experience was a little different.
What town is it in?
That's in West Orange. Eagle Rock.
Okay.
Eagle Rock Park. So
Gotcha.
you go in the park. It's the most beautiful view from New Jersey to New York City. It's the panoramic, just incredible. And then they have the High Lawn, which is the building, which is a cafe and restaurant, banquet halls. So you guys should follow. Is it Chef Hazen or Sam Hazen on?
No, it's on Instagram. It's at Chef Long Time.
At Chef Long Time, Sam Hazen. He'll show you some of these beautiful pieces of art that serve as cooking things, cooking ovens and grills, and just top of the line. So my experience there for the opening of the High Lawn, or the reopening of the High Lawn, was a little different, because as soon as I walked through the door, it was a hug from Sam Hazen, and then he takes me behind into the kitchen, and he starts stuffing me with everything that he's cooking. And I'm like, he's literally,
I was in Fayetteville,
almost
Arkansas.
it, because he's like putting something in. Taste this. You got to taste this. What do you think about this? What do you think about it? So it was great. I mean,
so you didn't have a meal. You had a Sam Hazen buffet.
Literally, before I could get in to listen to the Jersey Boys upstairs, he had me behind, just in the kitchen, just tasting everything, showing me all the equipment. But folks, if you want to see what the High Lawn has to offer, go to Chef Long Time on Instagram. He shows you, and he's so much fun. He's such a great Giants fan, and but it's the most panoramic, beautiful, picturesque view from New Jersey to New York, and surrounding. It goes all the way down south. But the Eagle Rock Park is beautiful as well.
All right, so check it out. It's the High Lawn and Chef Sam Hazen.
One Crest Drive, West Orange, New Jersey.
I think we're giving the address at Chef Long, Long Time, Time, Chef Long Time, and you can follow everything. And I can't wait to get there. Now, in fairness, let's play the other side as we wrap this up on our little culinary tour, because one of our favorite spots in the entire world is in Dallas.
There's another Sam in our life.
It's called Nick and Sam's.
Yes.
In Dallas. The owner is Joe Palladino, who is a dear friend of ours. He's a native New Yorker. So I'm taking Kathleen and Max Saturday.
For the experience?
Nick and Sam's. Well, they're not going to get the full experience because we have early dinner at 6:00. Okay. We got Max at 6:30. But here's the scene. First of all, the food is off the charts. Joe has fused like an Italian flair into a traditional steakhouse. And it's like where the beautiful people in Dallas go to be seen. The bar scene there is off the charts.
Wait, hold on. And there are a lot of beautiful people in Dallas.
Yes.
And I think it's the top tier of the beautiful people in Dallas. They're at Nick and Sam's.
So it's almost like New York, the best of New York and Dallas combined. And it's got a Hollywood feel to it.
Yeah, it really does.
The food is
like
off.
The night before a big game, it legitimately is a who's who. And Dallas has some wonderful restaurants, and they've got some great steakhouses. But on the night of an event, a Cowboys game, you walk into Nick and Sam's, you will see Hollywood if they're in town. You'll see PGA if they're in town. You're going to see royalty in broadcasting, royalty in all sports. It's incredible. And then we just kind of hang out and have a good time, eat great food. And that's the beautiful thing about it too. Nick and Sam's, because Joe's a New Yorker, Palladino, he kind of knows what a good steak should be, right? He knows what a good lobster should be.
Mm-hmm.
So they never miss. I've never had a bad meal there, ever.
No.
Including dessert, ever.
Yeah, the lobster mac and cheese, the steak, everything. And it's got the open air kitchen, but they got the dining room. They have some private rooms in the back, and the bar scene as you get to 9:30 on Saturday night. And of course, Joe always wears these loud blazers. And as soon as he walks in, you know this guy's from New York. And he can control the music, on his phone that's playing in that whole place. And as the place gets revved up a little bit, because there's a lot of Giants fans in there that know Joe from when he was back in New York, and he starts playing the Sinatra, New York, and he starts spinning tunes, and it's like a party. It's like being in a club, but you're in a restaurant.
Absolutely.
So if you're in Dallas, if you're a Giant fan and you're going to Dallas this weekend, if you can't get a table, at least check out the bar scene at Nick and Sam's. And if you're staying back in New Jersey, make sure you check out the High Lawn. All right, Carl, that's our little culinary trip.
This was fun, man.
Tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
That's
we'll be
right.
back
Tell
next
a friend
week.
Tell a friend.
We'll be back next week for a recap of the Giants and Cowboys. Plus, we're gonna have a special guest next week here on the program from the Giants. He wants to do the show. This week with my being in Fayetteville, timing didn't work out. You becoming a grandpa, but we're gonna try to lock it in for next week. But you don't want to miss it. All right, everybody, enjoy the game this weekend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Believe in Giants. Papa and Banks.